Sorry for the delay, guys, but welcome out to the Superdome as the Saints get ready to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. On Thursday night, I'm Brooke Kirchhoffer alongside Nick Underhill. This is our live pregame question and answer show presented by Matt Bauer's Auto Group. Let's get right to the first thing here. Look, we know some of the standard elevations, which leads us to believe that one of these starters is out. The starter we are talking about is linebacker Demario Davis, as Jalen Smith has now been elevated to play. How much of a hit is this for the Saints?
If he's not out, it's at least like some type of insurance for him, so that's definitely something to keep an eye on. But that's not the greatest sign in the world for an injured linebacker who appears to have an injury. So we're going to see how that looks, how that goes. And yeah, I mean, it's something definitely to keep an eye on. So if Demario can't play, I think that is a big issue.
All right, next biggest thing, Saints offensive line. Man, are they depleted heading into this game. We thought there were issues last week. Now with Ryan Ramczyk, as well as not a left tackle in, they're having to move Andres Pete over to left tackle. We did see him work at left tackle back in training camp, but what can we expect to see from Pete at that position? Yeah,
I'd forgotten about that. That's a good point. So it's not a position that he's been too far away from, but it's been a long time since he's actually played that position. So I don't know how to take it, really. I mean, it's a hit for Trevor Penning for sure. It's not something that you want to see your second-year player unable to get out there on the field. So that's a big issue right now to keep an eye on. But, maybe Pete actually elevates that position a little bit. They've been so bad at left tackle that it doesn't feel like it can get worse. So that's we're going to see. We're going to see how Pete can handle that position.
All right, let's get to some of these questions. Are the Saints running too many option routes at once? Could this be why so many receivers end up in the same place?
I mean, when those things are working right and it's coached right and you're doing all the things that you're supposed to be doing, that's how offenses work. The Patriots ran their whole offense the whole time Tom Brady was there. Every single route in that offense was an option route, and they managed to make it work and win a lot of Super Bowls doing it. So I think that's more of a communication issue. If there's too many guys in the same places, it's because they aren't reading the defense the right way. Somebody's off on it, and their signals are crossed. So that's something that they need to figure out in this offense very quickly, because it is a major issue. We've seen it too many times where there's just the spacing doesn't look right. There's guys ending up in the same place, guys not knowing what to do. So if you want to do that, it needs to be coached right.
All right, let's get to this next question. If you were Mickey Loomis, what changes do you make after the game tonight to the coaching staff? What position/player do you attempt to trade for before the deadline? Let me get to the first part of this question. We continue to ask the Pete Carmichael question of if the Saints move off of him, if they fire him, or if they keep him in-house and move on to Ronald Curry. Look, I don't think they're going to be firing Pete Carmichael, but they could move off of Pete Carmichael and have Ronald Curry calling the offensive plays. I do not think that is out of the realm of possibility, but it's hard to make a decision on the offense based on the success tonight, given there's so many injuries on the offensive line, and you're also going up against one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL on this Jaguars team.
Well, hold up now. They're going to say you're making excuses. Are you saying that your best tackle matters, that it matters if you have your best players on the field?
Absolutely. You don't have two of your starting tackles out on the field. It absolutely makes a difference.
They love to say, like, oh, you're making excuses. Like, nobody's making excuses. It's logical to equate good players mattering. Otherwise, don't go out and get a tackle. Just get two street free agents, throw them at tackle, because if it doesn't matter, then those guys don't matter. But, look, you're right, and I think that's a fair point, and my take on it would have been a little bit hotter, but that's extremely measured, and it's the right way to look at it. They need to look better in some capacities, though. I think there are some things that you can judge a little bit, but to go like all out, do or die, this is the moment, it's a little bit tough when you're down both tackles.
When Josh Allen is on the field, not the quarterback Josh Allen, the defensive lineman for the Jaguars, he is an incredible threat on this defensive line for the Jags, and he's going to be somebody who's going to be going at current Cam Erwing, who we expect is going to be getting the start at right tackle.
Scary. Very scary.
Yeah.
Like, terrifying, like walking outside and seeing Pennywise in the sewer type scary. Like, that's what it's kind of at right now.
Can Cam Irving handle the spot at right tackle? We've seen him in years past with different organizations be successful there. Can he have success with this Saints offensive line?
I don't want to sound like a hater right now, but like if Cam Irving was the type of guy that you thought could block Josh Allen consistently on his own, he wouldn't have been a street free agent. Like, he wouldn't have been someone the Saints could have just grabbed out of nowhere. So I think the real answer is no. But look, that's up to the coaching staff. Now you have to find a way to overcome that. You got to find a way to help them out. You got to design a game plan, I think, that's predicated on getting the ball out quickly. It's, okay, we have Mike Thomas, we have Alvin Kamara. Let's get the ball out in 2 seconds every single time. If you're getting the ball out that quick, it's going to be really hard to sack him. But I think part of that's the quarterback, too, though. He has to have that in his head. And we've seen Derek Carr's penchant for throwing down the field to his own detriment at times. He's thrown more passes down the field than I think all but 2 other guys in the league. Then he has the highest percentage of low percentage throws in the NFL, meaning that, based on analytics, the coverage, the distance, the situation, he's thrown more passes that are not expected to be caught than anybody else in the NFL. So that all needs to go away. Yeah. Throw the high percentage passes, throw the slants to Mike, throw 30 slants to Mike today. Whatever it takes to keep Josh Allen at bay, keep the ball moving. That's what you got to do because you don't got your tackle.
A big part of that is he's going to have to get rid of the ball quickly. A lot of that goes back to communication between the wide receivers. That was absolutely off last week in Houston. The guys talked about it. We heard from Derek Carr, Dennis Allen, and Pete Carmichael that there was miscommunication between the quarterback and wide receivers, especially when they would try to audible, which to me, it's too late in the season to have those issues, but get it cleaned up and get it corrected against a Jaguars team who, to be honest with you, is most likely going to be favored in this game.
I mean, it's crazy that we're talking about audibles. That is such a basic thing. You call the audible and everybody knows what the audible is. Where's the breakdown in communication? Why is this a consistent thing that's happening? I had heard that first play when they threw the 4 verts. I saw the first play there were players trying to get a timeout because they didn't know what the play was. I mean, these are things that cannot be happening, especially in critical moments. So you can blame it on the players' the execution, but that's a breakdown in coaching significantly. You cannot have that happening. The most basic thing is that you need to call an audible and everybody knows what it is. And if you can't do that, what's the point? They touted Derek Carr as being the guy that could come in here, command the line of scrimmage, get you in and out of the right plays, get you to the right stuff if the call's wrong. If you can't do that, what are you doing?
Well, and a big part of this Jaguars' success that they could have tonight in the Dome, their quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. He was dealing with a little bit of a knee injury, but we saw him out here actually walking around, getting some warm-ups in. He did have, it was almost like a soft knee brace, not necessarily one of those big knee braces that you would see if you had an ACL tear or something like that.
Sleeve,
it was just, well, not even a sleeve, but just a smaller version of a knee brace. He seems like somebody who's going to be able to go tonight, too, for them. Yeah,
it sounded like that all week, too, and, the only thing better than Trevor Lawrence not playing is if Trevor Lawrence played and actually didn't have the ability to perform it like himself, and he's out there and he's a sitting duck. But I can't imagine they made that type of decision and they're going to put him out there if he can't be effective. So that's a problem. And this is the best quarterback the Saints are going to probably face the whole entire season. There isn't a lot of guys coming after him. You got injuries to other players coming up. So that's a guy that they kind of got to figure out how to handle. And if the secondary's the real deal, they need to show up tonight because you got to find a way to slow them down because you can't count on your offense to score 20 points. So you got to hold Trevor Lawrence to 14. I don't know how you do it, but that's the math today going into this game.
All right, let's get to some of these other public questions before we go to the members-only part of this live stream. Going back to the basics, plus having both tackles out, do you expect to see more 2 tight end sets? Could going back to the basics benefit the offense? How could it not?
I mean, I think you kind of have to do some of that because you need help on both sides. So,
Quick reminder, though, you don't have Jawan Johnson tonight, so that could play a factor as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's time for Foster to
And Jimmy Graham.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jimmy Graham ain't blocking, but, I mean, Foster's going to have to get out there. But, Jimmy Graham, whoever, you got to throw bodies at it. So it might have to be Jimmy Graham because, I don't know, what are your numbers? J.P. Holtz, it might maybe, move him out from fullback to over there. So you got to find a way.
All right, next question. What would be the best way for the Saints to win this game based on the Saints situation?
What would be the best way for the Saints to win the game based on the Saints situation? What do you think?
Get rid of the ball quickly. Let Alvin Kamara cook. This is a game, in my opinion, where he is going to have at least 80 rushing yards. I think at least 80 rushing yards. Look, he eclipsed the 70 rushing yards last week or 2 weeks ago, and so I think he is going to continue to eat on this field. He's going to have to. Look, you have a quarterback who is still dealing with a bit of a shoulder injury. You have a depleted offensive line. The Jaguars defense, look, they're going to come right at you. We can see the defensive line getting after the quarterback. So if Alvin Kamara can maybe alleviate some of the pressure, I think the Saints could have success. I just don't feel good about how the Saints are playing right now up against a Jaguars team who is playing well.
You want to call the plays next week?
No.
Give it a shot?
No,
you got
thank
10 days. You got 10 days.
Look, it's a harder job than I think most people imagine. A lot of people question Pete Carmichael. What are you doing during the week to prepare and things like that? Look, I'm sure they're doing everything they can to get ready week after week. It's just you have a new quarterback. I don't know what's going on with some of the young receivers. I think that's playing into it as well with maybe some of the miscommunication. But regardless, figure it out or changes are going to be made. What about you? How do they win this game?
I mean, you just nailed it. I really don't got much more to add. I think you just got to get the ball out quickly. And I mean, that should be the game plan every single week. But we did see Rashid Shaheed getting some extra work in after practice on I don't even know what day of the week it is. Today's Sunday to me, so whatever the last practice was yesterday, he was out there getting some extra work in. So, I mean, maybe that's something that shows up this week too. But I think you just got to have the quick passing attack, and the quarterback's got to be bought into it. So, yeah, I think you nailed it.
That's a good question. How much do we think we'll see Nick Saldiveri in this game?
Not at all, unless there's an injury. Yeah, hopefully not.
Hopefully not is the best way to answer this, because that means an injury is happening.
Yeah.
They wouldn't just be throwing him in, just throw him in.
An injury's happened or someone can't block. So, I mean, if you don't see him, that's the best outcome.
All right. Will there be any coaching player changes during the bye? Will they look into maybe bringing guys to work out for offense and defense? Or will they give Curry a shot at calling the plays? This is during the bye week.
We'll see.
Got a couple weeks.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, how bad does it look by then? But there should be changes if they keep on this. I think if they lose today, like all bets are off. Like anything could happen. It felt like after the last game that there was an incredible sense of panic with the players, and I think not necessarily just the last, but like the nature in which they lose. If they lose today, I think it's going to matter. And if it's a disheartening game, I think anything could happen as soon as this week.
All right, last question from the public chat, and then we will move over to the private chat. Over/under for plays in the middle of the field, 7.
It should be over. If it's not over, they're losing. I think it's that simple. If it's not over, it's losing. How about you?
That's fair. Look, anything is up for grabs at this point with the Saints on offense. To me, it's more when you get into the red zone, maybe find Jimmy Graham. How much did we talk about that in the preseason, that they're bringing him in for these particular packages, red zone being one of them? Maybe they finally dial that up, but it's been a lot of right at the front of the red zone. They haven't really been able to get close. You and Mike talked about it. When's the last time they were at the 10-yard line trying to make a play happen?
Use your 6'7" tight end in the red zone. That is a smart play. And what else is a smart play? Signing up for NewOrleans.Football. We're cutting this one down. We're going to keep it going over there. Sign up for the site if you aren't on there, and watch the rest of the show.